All right, the name of this lesson is going to be called The Man Hater. And the reason why I'm calling it that, before I know it may raise some attention, but because we're going to show there's a feminine spirit out there, or, you know, that there are, just like the elder said, there are not only male angels, but there are female angels, which are known as goddesses or a goddess. And a lot of these lessons that we've done, we brought forth a lot of information on these type of things, and also female goddesses. But the thing is I'm going to focus a little bit more on that today than I have in the past, as far as just the wicked female goddesses, or the goddesses, which is wicked, these goddesses that is out to destroy mankind, and it was done for a purpose. And when you realize, like, in the end time, when they have women in power, and what I mean by women in power is women that are outside of the leadership that they're supposed to be in, because the man was made first, and the man was made to rule over the woman. And when you have women starting to rule over men, that is done intentional by a spiritual goddess that leads certain men to provoke these goddesses, and these goddesses to lead these men to cause women to begin to come over men, you know, be over men, you know. So this right here is the provoking spirit. This spirit is what's behind the feminists. This spirit is behind the trans spirit, the LGBT spirit. This spirit is behind the women that want to now be over men and actually be the rulers over men. And so when if you realize, you look in the Bible, in the end time, that spirit will be ruling over men, and that spirit is known as the harlot, or the whore, the great whore that sits on many waters, and it's going to be destroyed. The daughter of Babylon, the Babylonian spirit is going to be a female goddess, which is right now currently going on, that's ruling the earth. And this right here will be the spirit that's ruling the earth at the time Christ is going to return. So we are there at the end of what's called the Roman Empire. We are in the fourth beast as we speak now, in the end of it. And in the end, of course, we have the great whore that's sitting on many waters, which is that goddess. And we're going to identify more about that goddess. Just to give you a little detail about that goddess, it all starts at the Tower of Babylon. During the time of the Tower of Babylon, you had Nimrod, and you had his wife Semiramis, and then Semiramis, when Nimrod passed, had the incarnation of Nimrod by Semiramis having a son called Tammuz. All this is in the Bible. Semiramis is mostly known is named the Queen Mother of Heaven in the Bible. You can do the research. You can type that in, the Queen Mother of Heaven in the Bible. That's speaking of Semiramis. So these goddesses this goddess was always mentioned in the Old Testament and the New Testament as to be that goddess that's suppressing our people. First, we're going to go to where this goddess began to be worshipped is at the Tower of Babylon. And what happened during the Tower of Babylon, when the languages were split, all the people kept the same worships, but they did it in their own language, in their new language that they actually started speaking when the languages were split. So we're going to go to them scriptures first just to show the narrative of, hey, this is what happened during this time period. This is where religion started for us right here. This is where the religions that became against Christ started right here. And it's actually happening even now. But this is the original location of where these religions came from. And where it came from, that's where it's at now. And it's all over the world through this place right here that happened. It's called the Tower of Babylon. So first I want you to go to Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 through 9. And we're just going to read about that first to show, so those can locate it in their Bible and see this is where religion started as far as what we're doing today, as far as the people that follow these gods and goddesses. This is where it started at right here.
The book of Genesis, chapter 11, and verse 1 to verse 9. The book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, with the children of men building. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. This they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build a city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because of the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence the Lord scattered them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Okay, so this is where religion started. When it says that these people were scattered, it didn't say that they started something different or new. They kept the same customs what they got under Nimrod, and they took it to their lands. And that's the evidence when you look at the evidence of the mother and child and stuff like that. There was the worship of Semiramis, and that's what the Queen Mother of Heaven. That's what went across. That's what went all over the whole world. What happened was 70 angels came down. This is in the book of Jasher. 70 angels came down and split the languages according to the nations, according to the number of the children of Israel that went into the land. 70 went into the land of Egypt during that time period. But it's 70 angels. 70 angels split the languages up, and when they split the languages up, once again the people went into their areas. Okay. So this area in verse 2, Shinar, is that's modern day Iraq today. So that's modern day Iraq. Modern day Iraq is known as Babylon. That's Babylon. That's the original place of Babylon is in Iraq. Okay, so just giving anybody that kind of information. But just to go forward, let me go to this scripture first to make sure that it's going to tie into what I'm fixing to say real quick. Let's see here. Okay, go to Titus chapter 2, verse 1 through 8. And before you go there, let's see. Hold on one second. Let me just look at this. Okay. Yeah, go ahead to Titus chapter 2, verse 1 through 8. And the reason why I'm going to show you this is because of what I'm going to speak on after this right here.
The book of Titus, you said chapter 2?
Yeah, chapter 2, verse 1 through 8.
Book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 1. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine. Let the aged men be sober, grave, temperament, sound in faith, and charity, and patience. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say to you.
Okay, so basically the reason why I'm showing that is because we definitely, as so-called black people, we have a lot. We have in general, we have failed as a people. As far as it's supposed to be the older generation supposed to be teaching the younger generation, and you don't really have that going on. Especially, I would say in today's time, the older women supposed to be teaching the younger women how to be women, how to be how to be like they supposed to be to get ready for a husband, and then also how do the wives supposed to be to their husbands as far as righteous women. But we're living in a time that because of a spirit that's in this feminine spirit, feminism, or this harlot or this whore spirit that's over the earth, and it comes from the Tower of Babylon. It comes from them, the worship of Semiramis. And it says right here, I put this down, and I said, at the end, there will be the spirit of a woman that will be ruling our people. Women will be over our men, and men will be at the bottom. And when I'm talking about men, I'm speaking of the black men, the so-called African, mainly the African-American men, mainly, what I'm speaking on. So I'm not really talking about everybody here. There will be the head of households, and of course, they will make more money. And also, in my observation, this may not be true. This is my observation of just living and seeing things and stuff like that. When it speaks on the single women or the single black women, there's something that I call a 2080. And what I mean by 2080 is we living in a time where most black women only go after 20% of the men, and they ignore the other 80%. And when I'm saying, and I'm talking about mainly, I'm talking about good men and stuff like that. I'm not talking about the wicked men and stuff like that. But we're living in a time where I believe and I think that 20%. I mean, women only go for 20% of the men out of the 80%, and don't go for the other 80%. And when I say the 20%, you can even break that down as the 5 in that 20 is the rich man. The more money you got, you can skip the line to as far as to be what women would want to go for. Then you have your standard type of men, the other 5, your standard type of men. That's where, a lot of women like men that's 6 foot and different things like that, the standard type of black men, tall, dark, and handsome. Then you have another 5 out of that 20. You got brothers that do know how to, they conniving, they know how to talk, they got game, they know how to maneuver, in order to get the certain woman that they want. So I would put them in that 5%. And then, of course, in the other 5 is race. That's the last thing, the race. So by me breaking it down like that, I said this is another thing I say, the options of a woman is less than they think. But it seems as if they have unlimited options based off them rejecting 80% of the men that desire them. And what that means is, even though 80% of the men that desire them, but they only looking at 20, so that means that most women are looking for the same kind of men when the right men that's available for them most of the time is out of that 80. But they're not looking at the 80 because they desire the 20. Now the 80 they reject, so they think that they got unlimited options, but not realizing they have made their options really only 20%. So technically, the things that the type of man that they want is actually even harder. It's even harder than they think it is because of the 20/80. They only looking at 20% of the men versus the other 80 they ignore. That's definitely right for them, and that could be a husband, and they can build and make a family. So 80%, okay, and then I say this right here. I say this will cause a majority of women to stay single, leading them to be more promiscuous, I can't say the word, but y'all know what I mean, in their youth. And when they are older, that's when some begin to turn back to the 80%. And out of the 80%, they start to realize that the 80% don't desire them as they once did, as when she was of age but younger. And a lot of the content creators, they call that's the wall. That's the name for that's the slang name for that. When the single woman has hit the wall, that's what they say on the content creators say that. Okay, so I'm speaking of that's based mainly off of the single women in today's America. And this right here would make more sense if we look at Isaiah. If you go to Isaiah chapter 3, verse 16 through 26, because we living in a time where there's so many single women, and majority of them are not going to get married because something has been placed on them that's causing them to not be led by a man and be against a man. But that spirit is a spirit that's in the end time, and that's the spirit of the harlot, the great whore that sits on many waters. We're going to go into a different name she have a little bit later, but I'm showing the psyche of a lot of our women, the black women, and a lot of things that they're don't realize they have been misled, and because they have been misled, this right here to me will be an example of what's going to happen to a lot of our sisters, because they are misled by the harlot, the great whore that sits on many waters, the man hater. She is the leader of the man hater, that spirit. That spirit is the great harlot. It's a spirit over, like I say once again, over the feminist movement. You got the feminist movement, and then on top of that, you got, of course, the LGBTQ. They're against marriage as far as the way the Most High designed it, so they are against life, And then also you got the trans. One thing about it is what the black woman don't realize is that the trans is against them. And because our sisters have a lot of aesthetics on, because they have a lot of makeup and different things like that, and the less they go natural, the more the trans can fit in to look like them. Okay, so technically a woman can take a trans down by just going natural, but by her putting on a lot of things to not look natural constantly over and over, and as a majority, they can fit right in, and that's what they're doing. But they're fitting in technically to take away the woman, so the woman don't realize the trans is at war with them. Okay, Let's go here now, because I spoke on this. Once again, when I call it the 20/80, how majority of our sisters only go for like 20% of the men, and out of 100%, they go for only 20%, and they ignore the other 80%. And because they ignore the other 80%, majority of the 20% don't go for most of them sisters, but the 80% comes at these sisters, and because they reject all these 80, it seems like they have unlimited, once again, I'm just repeating, unlimited choices, not realizing their choices have been shaping and put to a small margin of a number of only 20, and then splitting that up by a rich person, a standard man, a man who got talk game, and then race. So this right here is what I look at as guaranteed to keep these women single in the end. Okay? And also, the things that's going to happen in the end is, of course, you have men that's lovers of men. You got that going on. Then you have a lot of things going to happen where a lot of men are going to be killed. A lot of our men, when a war happens, a lot of our men are going to be killed. So that's going to make the margin even smaller of options for women to get a man. Okay? Get a husband. I'm talking about when I say man. Get a husband. Okay? And or be led by a man, a leader. A leader he's not a husband. He's not nothing like that on that level. He's just a leader. To get under a man and a righteous man, a righteous leader, is going to become even harder as we get closer to the end, as we're getting right now. Okay, so we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 3, verse 16 through 26. And because before you go forward, because of this spirit, this harlot, this whore that sits on many waters, this is the spirit that will be over these women, and these women will be under the spirit of the goddess of that goddess. And by being under that goddess, a lot of tribulation and a lot of curses is going to come under our sisters, and currently is coming now. And we're going to go into it. Okay, go to it. Isaiah.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 16. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a ticking with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret part. And that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their caws and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels, changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the whipples and the crisping pins, glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils.
Where you at?
23.
23. Okay, keep going.
All right.
Well, go to hold on one second. Let me look. Go to read all that to 26 to 26.
All right. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there should be a stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of a well, set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. The men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty men in war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground.
Okay, so this right here is what's coming upon, came upon our sisters, and what's still coming upon our sisters because of that spirit that has been technically attacked them, I would say, like that harlot, that whore that sits on many waters, that beast, that woman. And when it says right here in verse 24, instead of well-set hair, baldness, that's why the desire of weave is on our sisters. But what's amazing is if you actually look at where most of our weave, especially when they dealing with real hair, is coming from Babylon. It's coming from the harlot itself, the spirit of that harlot, because these women do rituals to goddesses or to the gods, and they shave their heads and they send the hair over here to the United States. And our women put this hair on, and this hair actually puts a signal to contact another god or goddesses from Babylon to our sisters and on our sisters. And it caused our sisters to be more haughty and different things like that. A spirit come over a lot of our sisters because of this. Okay, so I'm just showing you a lot of things that's going on right now because we are in the end. And I'm going to show you this right here. Now, there's a lot I can say on this, but I'm going to point this out, just speak on this briefly and show. I'm going to just speak on this briefly, but go to Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. Now read verse 1.
The book of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name and take away our reproach.
Okay, so this right here, during this time, the Most High going to strip everything away from our sisters. Because the Most High going to do, He's going to put things back in order Himself. And during this time period, the reason when it says 7 women to one man, it's not speaking on a man marrying 7 women. It's speaking on the women getting under the guidance of a man, a leader. It's going to be a woman, her mom, her grandmama. It's going to be stuff like that. So it's not going to be a man that's going to marry 7 women. It has nothing to do with him marrying 7 women. It's going to be that these women are going to realize that they need a leader, and the Most High is going to put that on them to find righteous men to lead, because now everything they have don't matter, because women have been taught, the black women have been taught to be independent. They have been taught to say, look what I got, look what I have, look what I accomplished. I got a degree and different things like that. But right here it says in verse 4, it says, and in that day 7 women should take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, meaning they're going to men to lead, not to give them anything, because they have everything, but now they need a leader. So these are the women that realize that all this time I've been away from a man, or separated myself from a man to be my own leader, realizing that ain't the way things supposed to be. And the Most High is going to place things to where these women going to realize I need to get under a righteous man to be led, because I won't survive if not. And it don't matter if I got a degree. It don't matter if I got the things that I achieve and accomplish where everybody look at me as an independent woman. That's when the independent woman that got sense will realize I don't need to be an independent woman, and they'll realize we are the only race of women that speak and praise ourselves for being independent when the other nations are in line or in order. No matter their status, they will never raise their status above their man. But our women has been taught to be against our man, or raise their status over our men. And a lot of it, like I said, this is the end of Israel as far as this is our lowest point as men, but the Most High is going to raise up His righteous men out of this to lead. Go to, let's see, let me go to this real quick and see if this is the right scripture. The 13. Okay, yeah, so go to Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12, and what I'm speaking of, when it says that 7 women will take hold of one man and say, hey, we got all, we got it, we just want to be under your guidance, under your leadership, because you don't have to get us nothing. You know, we're not going to be a burden on you. We just need your leadership, your guidance, because, you know, we realize we need you.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of opal.
Okay, so notice the Most High say, I will make a man more precious than fine gold. There will be not a man rising up as a king, and we'll speak in current time, but there will be where the Most High will make men more precious than fine gold, meaning that they will have the leadership and the understanding of Christ and will follow his guidelines and leadership. And there will be women that will realize that they need to get under that leadership to be led, because they realize that the men they separated from the men. They need to come together as one with the men to make sure that they're led properly. And this is the Most High doing this. So there will be no sisters that's just it'll be the Most High if it's any sisters that realize this. And I'm speaking of now one thing, what I'm saying is, of course, not every sister is like this. There are sisters that are following the Most High that is under the leadership of their husband or under the leadership of elders and everything like that. So I want to make that clear too. But we're speaking of the other women that's actually I just say out there. But there a lot of them going to come in. But this is how they're going to come in when they realize that everything they accomplish without a man, it means nothing, because they got to be guided by Christ through the man, and the Most High is going to lead them to get under that man to be led in this end time, which we are in now. Okay. Let me go here first. Let me look at this, make sure this goes with what I'm saying. Okay, go to 2nd Ezra and the Apocrypha. The 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Okay, 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 33 and through 36.
The book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands, and their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Behold, the word of the Lord receive it. Believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake.
Okay, so believe not the gods. That's these goddesses, these gods that our people begin to follow outside of the Most High. But they will mourn because they will have no husband. They will realize, hey, I need to get under a man. So this is that same thing that's going to happen. The Most High is going to bind us together as one people in the end, as far as his spirit is truth, and it's going to come out to bring a lot of our women in. So, yeah, there will be women destroyed. It speaks of that too. We just read that. But I'm talking about there will be women that will realize, I broke away from the man, but I didn't realize how much I needed the man to be the leader, to be the head. Okay? So this is what's going to happen. Let's see here. And this, what I got on this lesson, I spoke about this back in one of the lessons when it talks about Christ's church. When it says, husbands, love your wife also as Christ loved the church. Let's go there. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 through 26.
The book of Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the word, washing of water by the word.
Okay, so this right here is commanding the husband to be a leader, to lead his wife. So, of course, when I'm speaking on about women, this does not exempt the man, but this is giving direction to the man to lead his wife. And then when it says washing of the word, that means that he needs to be in the word to be able to teach his wife the word of the Most High. He needs to be very skilled or learn to be very skilled. So he has a duty to lead or learn how to lead. So because most of our men have not been taught to lead, because through this spirit of this harlot, which is the great whore Babylon, most men or a lot of men are not being raised by fathers or by dads. So because they're not raised by their dad, and a lot of them is not around a masculine man that actually they can learn from to be a leader and stuff like that. A lot of them take on the feminine traits of their mom, So by them taking on the feminine traits of their mom and their grandma, they never really got that understanding of being a leader. So it's commanded that they learn how to lead. So that does not exclude the man. Now, for the woman, when it says love Christ as Christ loved the church, and when you look at that right there, when Christ is speaking of the church, what church is Christ speaking of? Because when we go to Revelation 19, he's not talking about any church. When he's comparing this to a church, he's calling forth for the woman to be righteous, to be pure, to be righteous, to follow her husband because he's the leader, and also be righteous. So this right here is I look at it more deeper because Christ is comparing this to the church, because there will be another church that's in the world now, which is the harlot, the whore that we're speaking on right now. And this is not what he's talking about, a wife to be compared to. So this right here is speaking of a woman need to be righteous and follow the order of her man or of the leadership. Okay. So this is, once again, this is not going to exclude the man when we're speaking on these things. So let's go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26, verse 22 through 29.
Repeat that one more time.
Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 26, verse 22 through 29.
It's the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 26, verse 22. And the harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. A dishonest woman timid shame, but an honest woman will reverence her husband. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear the Lord. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all. Yeah, verse 29.
Let me look. To verse 29.
Okay. 27. A loud crying woman and a scold shall be sought out to drive away the enemy. There be two things that grieve my heart, and the third maketh me angry. A man of war that suffereth poverty, and men of understanding that are not set by, and one that returneth from righteousness to sin. The Lord prepares such as one for the sword. A merchant shall hardly keep himself from doing wrong, and a huckster shall not be freed from sin.
Okay, so this right here breaks down the different type of women and everything. So now, even the man is not left out, because it says that a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. So a man has to be careful, because a lot of times if he end up with a wicked woman, it's because his wickedness. Not all men, of course. We got some, there are situations, but I'm just speaking on in general. A wicked man, he's going to get a wicked woman. So a lot of times when he try to straighten up and everything like that, and the Most High call him, but at the same time, that don't mean the Most High call her. He going to catch it. because that's who he chose, and he chose her, in the beginning. A lot of time, that's what falls on a lot of brothers, and then sometimes vice versa, of course. But there's scriptures for all that. Of course, if a person give their life to Christ and they already married to this person right here, this person ain't following Christ, they are sanctified through the other person, that's following Christ. I'm not gonna go to them scriptures, but I'm just throwing it out there. But so these are the things that a woman have to understand as far as the different type of women. But when we're speaking on the church, when Christ's speaking on that church, he's speaking of his church. Just to go back, just to show evidence of that, let's go to Revelation chapter 19, verse 7 through 9.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse 7. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God.
Okay, so you have to look at the big picture here, that Christ is like the wife, like the husband looking for, getting ready to receive his bride, and we know that the bride is his church, the children of Israel as a whole coming into Christ. So when we're looking at the comparison, when we read earlier, when it says, love your wife as Christ loved the church, this is the church. He's talking about righteous. She needs to be righteous also. This is a requirement for him to lead, and then it also, of course, lead in righteousness because he's under Christ, but also the woman to be submitted unto him, and also to be as like the church of Christ, righteous. Okay, so let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1 through 16.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember in all things and keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying and prophesying, having his head covered, dishonor his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesied with her head uncovered, dishonor her head. For that is even all one as if she was shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But it be shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven. Let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. But the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, for the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angel. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. But all things of God. Judging yourselves, it is comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered. Is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Will not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if a man seemeth to be contentious, he have no such custom, neither the churches of God.
Okay, so we have to realize in Christ's church, the church he's looking for, the righteousness that's not of that harlot or that whore that sits on the 7 hills. This is the order. And both have to understand that a woman, because of this harlot, has taught women to be over the man, so it's hard for a woman to submit herself now today to be under a man. But when she received the Most High praise on this, received the Holy Spirit, she can transform to be like the woman that Christ is speaking of and everything. Because this harlot has came around the whole earth and on our people, this Babylonian harlot, this whore. But anyway, just to show you a little bit, just to speak a little bit more on this, when it's speaking on a man with long hair, it's speaking of not a man with just like having long hair, but as like a woman. It's speaking of a man having having his hair as if he's feminine. He's a woman. That's feminism. That feminine man. And then also when it says when it says in verse 15, but a woman having long hair. So basically, above this, when it's talking about a woman being covered, this speaking of honoring their husband as the head. If they don't have a husband, you're honoring Christ as your head by covering when a woman is reading the Bible or praying, or when they're amongst the congregation and when the scriptures are being read or prayer, that's when they need to cover their heads according to Scripture. A lot of Christians don't go by this because of the harlot, the whore that sits on the 7 hills. This whore has taught women to not cover their heads, to not honor their husbands, to not honor the Christ. But right here is speaking of this is the order. And then when it go to verse from 14 to 16, that's talking about the actual hair. So that's speaking of the woman hair. Above that, that's talking about covering. That has nothing to do with hair. But a woman, her hair is a glory. She loves her hair. That's why the curse was baldness. What we read in Isaiah a while ago, instead of well-set hair, baldness. That's where the weed come in at. But the thing is that that's where the enemy or the harlot knows this is our women's glory. So that's why Esau get the Babylonians to bring their hair over here for our women to wear. And it's a curse to them, a lot of them. Now, like I said, it's twofold, and what I mean by that is, of course, the positive side is a lot of women feel better wearing their hair and stuff like that, wearing, extensions and different things like that. So I'm not speaking of it as evil, but I'm just speaking of this is a trap by the enemy also to bring in that Babylonian worship from the hair of Babylonian women for our women to start wearing it, and it caused women to go off and cause a lot of chaos in a lot of women. Okay. So I'm not saying it's wrong to have weave or nothing like that, but I'm just telling you the source of why our women wearing weave, because they're missing something. They know they're missing something, but the Babylonians are capitalizing, knowing our women are missing that. Okay. Now, what I'm fixing to go to, because I don't have that much time. When I was speaking on church a while ago, there's another church. That church is the church that come from Satan, which is, when I was speaking on that other church, the spirit of a female angel that fell with Satan. The ancient times, she was called Semiramis, or Ashtaroth, or Ishtar. That's where the worship of Easter comes from, worshiping this goddess, this same goddess. And also the Virgin Mary, not Christ's mom, but the actual Virgin Mary that came through the European conquest. This is who they're worshiping, is the same, the mother and child. And also in the New Testament, she was called Diana. That was another name for Semiramis. It's all the Queen Mother of Heaven. What we're going to do is we're going to go to some information to show. And I tell you what's funny is the United States is called the daughter of Babylon. And I tell you what's weird, and I'm not calling this as far as saying this is actually what this is. But what's funny is that Kamala, of course, everybody's doing the research and finding out she's not a black woman. Her dad is Jamaican, but he's not a black man. Just because he comes from Jamaica don't mean he's a black man. They finding out that, of course, his daddy is South Indian or East Indian, and her mom is East Indian or South Indian, and she's South Indian. And when you find the research, you'll find out she's actually a Babylonian. And it's funny how, now I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I know a lot of us has been putting out information showing about the possibility of the rumors of wars, speaking of the United States and Israel, the country Israel, against Iran. And we know what the scriptures say what's going to happen to the daughter of Babylon by the Medes, the Medo-Persians, which is the modern-day Iranians. And it's just funny if they start a war that's going to keep Joe Biden in office. And then because he's old and senile, he passes away, and that automatically makes Kamala Harris the president. And then Iran attacked the United States. She is the daughter of Babylon because she is Babylonian. And it's funny that in the end, the United States could actually have a Babylonian as a ruler over this place, the little horn. The little horn as the daughter of Babylon. I'm just saying, it's lining up perfect. But I'm not saying it's the claim is going to happen. But I'm just saying you could see that happening. And I'm saying that to say we are definitely close. Because even if that didn't happen, that's just a scenario that says we are very close. Because we know what Iran going to do when the missiles go off and they start hitting places. And if you have Kamala in office, it fits perfect because she is a Babylonian. So let me let's go to some names for these goddesses real quick before time run out on us. One of the main go to the Officer Ara. If you look up the word Queen Mother of Heaven, Antiquity. Queen Mother of Heaven, Antiquity. Okay, so now you there, the Queen Mother of Heaven, Antiquity. Go to where it talks about the goddesses, the names of some of the goddesses. It's just on the first part when it's just speaking of the Queen Mother of Heaven, when it says it was a title given to the number of ancient sky goddesses worshipped throughout the ancient Mediterranean and the ancient Near East. And then you can go on to say where it says goddesses.
All right. Queen of Heaven was a title given to a number of ancient sky goddesses worshipped through the ancient Mediterranean and the ancient Near East. Goddesses known to have been referred to by the title include Inanna, Anat, Isis, Nut, Parti, and possibly Ashtoreth by the prophet Jeremiah. In Greco-Roman times, Hera and Juno bore this title. Forms and content of worship varied.
Okay, so I'm just showing that because the Queen Mother of Heaven is known as, one of the names is Ashtaroth, which is Semiramis, or Ishtar, Easter. Okay, and also what they call the Virgin Mary. And also, this is another of who the Queen Mother of Heaven is. Go to where it talks about there's a goddess that is named Kali, the goddess Kali.
Where is that?
Let's see, I sent that to you.
Oh, okay, I see it. I got it.
Okay.
All right.
The goddess
Kali.
Just read, just hold on, let me look real quick. 1 second. Okay, you could just read the first part of that right there. That's that way it talks about all the way when it talks to tradition. Hindu.
All right.
the tradition. Yeah.
Okay. Kali, also called Tilaka, is a major Hindu goddess associated with time, change, creation, power, destruction, and death in Shaktism. Kali is the first of the 10 Mahaviyans in the Hindu tantric tradition.
Okay, so this goddess Kali is also, this is Babylonian. This is that Babylonian goddess. This is the same as Semiramis. This is Semiramis in the Hindu. Now, remember we talked about earlier when it talks about how Nimrod, when the languages were split, they took these same goddesses along with them in all the land, and they called it different names because the languages was changed. So basically, I'm showing this right here because I'm going to show you something else too. Not saying she will be president, but if you realize and look it up, Kamala is the name of a goddess. When you go to you see where I sent you that right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, read the top. It says about Kamala. Let me see. Hold on. Let me go to hold on one second. Let me scroll down. I don't want you to miss the important thing. But anyway, she's Kali. When I speak of Kali, Kali is the goddess of death and time. Okay, so just go to the top where it talks about a 10th goddess among what?
Okay. Goddess Kamala. Kamala is a 10th of the 10 Mahavadaya goddesses. Goddess Kamala is considered the most supreme form of the goddess, who is the fullness of her graceful aspect. She is not only compared with goddess Lakshmi, but also considered to be goddess Lakshmi. She is also known as Tantric Lakshmi. The goddess in the form of Kamala bestows prosperity and wealth, fertility and crops and good luck. Hence, she is Devi of both Dhahan and Dhanya, wealth and grain.
Okay, so when you look at Kamala, it says she is the 10th goddesses among the death Mahavadaya. And that's actually when you go back to Kali, she comes from Kali, that goddess, the goddess of time, change, creation, power, destruction, and death. This right here is the same goddess. This is Semiramis. This is Diana. This is that Virgin Mary. This is Ishtar, Easter. Let's see. One second. So she comes from Kali. She is like I said, she is like a daughter of Babylon. She's Babylonian. Also, let's go to Thuggee. Now this is one of the main spirits that's over hip hop. A lot of it was brought through Russell Simmons. He brought this goddess. Tupac embraced this god, which is called Thuggee. So we're gonna go to Thuggee, and the key thing about Thuggee is go to where it says Thug Beliefs, and you can just read that first paragraph, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, you can just read that first paragraph.
Thugs consider themselves to be the children of color.
Hold on,
having been created from.
Thugs consider themselves to be children of Kali. That's the same goddesses we was talking about. So hip-hop, that spirit of thuggy that's in hip-hop, that's causing the death of a lot of rappers in our culture, the death culture, is the children of Kali, what we just showed, the Babylonian goddess. That's the goddess, that's a Babylonian goddess. Also, where Kamala comes from, the Babylonian goddess. This is Semiramis. This is the same Ashtaroth. This is the Queen Mother of Heaven that they speak of, that the Bible speaks against. This is the spirit that's over our culture, or over the culture of hip-hop. Okay? Keep going. I'm going to start over and just go through the whole little paragraph right there.
Right. Thugs consider themselves to be the children of Kali, having been created from her sweat. However, many of the thugs who were captured and convicted by the British were Muslims, perhaps up to a third.
So even look at this. Islam, or the Muslims, also are tied into thuggy. So Islam is tied into thuggy, and our people that say they follow Christ is tied into thuggy. Okay, so this is the spirit over the culture of hip-hop, is thuggy. The thugs. Bone Thugs and Harmony, Tupac, Thug Life. You know, the pushing of the thug, being a thug, Trick Daddy, I'm a thug. This is the spirit that came, this is the children of Kali. Okay, the children of Kali. And also one of the 10th gods that Kamala come from, this same who the thuggies worship. Or they come from the children of. All right, so basically, I'm fixing to finish up. I wanted to show that the last scriptures I'm going to just speak on, now it makes more sense when you read about the daughter of Babylon, when in Psalms 137, when he says, don't forget about the daughter of Babylon, when he talks about, when David speak on being in this place, let me go to it real quick so I won't say it wrong. When it talks about the strange land, speaking of the songs that we used to sing, the Negro songs, he say, don't forget about Edom, the old daughter of Babylon. And Edom is directing this right here, this whole thing. Well, anyway, it's in Psalms 137. And also, if I'm not mistaken, Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 40 through 42. And then when you go to Revelation 17 and Revelation 18, is talking about the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, This is that whore, that queen mother. This is the spirit that's actually over our people, that's got a lot of our women trying to rule over men, and then a lot of our men, because if you look at Kali is actually got a foot on her husband, and her husband love it. He's sitting there like, I'm not going to rise up and be a leader. I'm not going to be a head. I'm going to let Kali be over me. And then the thugs, they're murderers. They're murdering under Kali and everything like that. So, you know, with that in a nutshell, because I'm fixing to end it, I wanted to bring that out today, which is called the man hater. And showing you the goddess that's over the man, that's against the man, and trying to destroy our men, our people, our brothers. And that's the spirit of Kali, or the Babylonian goddesses. That's who's Satan's directing them over us, or them goddesses over our people, and has us separated. So that's the spirit behind the feminists. Once again, the spirit behind the LGBTQ, the trans spirit. This goddess, Kali, she's against all our brothers, and the sisters have to come out of that and realize that she split us up, and have the woman going against the man and the man against the woman. All right. So with that being said, anybody got any questions or comments based off this lesson, which is called the man hater? Is that what I called it? The man hater? I think. Okay. The man hater.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a quick question. I got a quick comment. Piggybacking off the whole thuggy thing. I looked up this another one of the. I put it in the etymology of the word thuggy, brought up all different variations. I got thuggery, and it's 1839. It says a system of ritual killings as practiced by thugs. And of course, we know these killings. We know these killings are on behalf of Kali, the Hindu god. Well, to show you how deep this is, when you think about these young brothers out here who call themselves thugs, what's the number one thing they have to do to gain that title? They have to what they call in the streets, they got to put in work. Like if you join a gang, if you claim to be about that life, then you must show the big homies or that you're willing to put in work. Now, which means go commit a crime, or you have to it may be murder. Hey, you may have to go ride with them to murder somebody. You may have to go steal. You have to commit some form of a crime to be initiated into it, to be basically to live that role, or to carry on that title as a thug. Showing you it's almost the same thing as the religion itself. When they have to do rituals, ritual killings to the god of Kali. So it's the same thing with these young brothers out here.
Let me go a little bit further before since you on that, but go back to Kali real quick. I forgot to bring this. I need to bring this out, and then I'm gonna bring one more thing out. So go back to Kali again.
All right, I'm there.
Click on where it says member of the 10 Mahabhadayas.
Yeah.
And in that, when it speaks on the definition, when it speaks on that, scroll down. Do you see where it says nevertheless?
Mm-hmm.
So read that sentence right there.
Nevertheless, the formation of this group encompassed divergent and varied religious traditions that include yogini worship,
yoga.
Yoga.
That's where yoga comes from. Yoga is a form. It says a female master practice. It's actually a form of coming out of Kali. Yoga. So I just want to point that out. And then also, just to point out another thing, because once again, this in the end, there's a female goddess that's going to be destroyed that comes out of Babylon. And just because we're on this subject, go to Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14 real quick, and then I'm going to end it. Now, a lot of people say Adam had a wife before Eve, and they call her Lilith. Lilith is another form of a demon. Is a demon. And I'm going to just show that right here, bringing it out in Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14.
The book of Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the Satar shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest.
So it says the screech owl. Look up the word screech owl, H in the Hebrew Strong's Concordance, H3917, and tell me what that name is.
H3917. We have, is it Lilith?
That's it.
Name of a female god is also a night demon who hunts the desolate place of Eden.
There's they say Adam's wife, which is a lie. That's a demon. So that's a goddess, another fallen angel, female angel, or female demon. Well, not demon, angel, fallen angel. A fallen angel, there's male fallen angels and female fallen angels. Lilith is a female fallen angel, just like Semiramis, just like what we same name Ishtar or Kali, same goddesses. All right, now I'm finished. So with that being said, do anybody got any questions or comments based off this lesson, which is called the man hater? They don't need
quick
no
question.
man.
Quick question, D. Great lesson, by the way. All praises. Just informative and really timely of the times that we're living in, and really just giving the information that we need to know. But quick question. So is it safe to say that the Jezebel spirit, the succubus spirit, is a part of that Semiramis spirit?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah, I thought
yes,
so.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. That's all I had. Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions or comments based off this lesson, the man hater?
Yeah, Deacon Aaron, I just wanted to add, when you brought that up about the Thuggies, the origin of them, when you go way back there to the beginning, it says that the origin was of a band of Muslims that fled into India in certain parts, and they basically carried on the traditions, of where they come from into India, because they were still converting within that time, so it was like they was integrating and converting at the same time,
And then it's crazy though. Think about it. How they gonna be Muslims and thinking that they are the children of Kali? You feel me?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the spirit that we're fighting against. So that's against us, and just the timing of Kamala, coming out, and then she's Babylonian. This is crazy. She's Babylonian, and then we got different things going on. Or this country in Israel, and we got things going on with Iran, and we know, what's going to happen when they decide to really fight against Iran. One of Babylonia's daughter may be sitting on the throne of the little horn, United States. That's crazy. But like I said, once again, for those sisters that's following Christ, this does not pertain to them. This ain't got nothing to do with them, because they're following Christ, they're committed to Christ, and they're trying to better themselves every time, especially against them spirits of them goddesses and everything like that. So it has nothing to do with them per se. It's just speaking of our culture mainly, of sisters and different things they're dealing with. But at the same time, a lot of them are gonna realize they've been tricked by this demon and by these female goddesses, and they're going to put them down and start following Christ and get in order. So what's going to happen, they're going to get in order. And then those that don't, it's prophesied, they're going to be destroyed. And then, of course, the men already going to be destroyed or being destroyed, because that's why it's going to be 7 women to 1 man. As far as, hey, they were looking for leaders. That means we already going to be destroyed, like being destroyed. But with that being said, I pray everyone have a blessed week. Get ready for the elders and the Wednesday broadcast, and all praise to the Most High. I think everybody's safe from the storm that came through. We always have to give thanks that we make it out through from another storm. And but I pray everyone have a blessed night, and the highest will see y'all on the Shabbat. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, fam.